This is Glow in the Dark Radio. The science fiction podcast, with original independent science fiction, written and performed by Mike Luoma, with music by Kevin MacLeod. The Vatican Assassin Trilogy and The Adventures of Alibi Jones by Mike Luoma are available in ebook, trade paperback, and audiobook wherever you find your books online. Get links and details at glowinthedarkradio.com. This is the Science Fiction Podcast, Glow in the Dark Radio. I'm your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma. I have Chapter 22 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Her on the way, part of The Adventures of Alibi Jones Chronological Omnibus, which continues on Glow in the Dark Radio. Alibi Jones, hiding, disguised as a Dakhur, on Rene Laveillur's planet of Kismet, makes plans to rescue his former friend Kit the Dakhur and Alibi's on-and-off girlfriend Katie Ramsey from Laveillur's grasp. Laveillur plans to execute Kit and thinks he owns Katie, so time is kind of the essence. In order to clear the way for the rescue, Alibi wants the head of the Dakhur delegation he's hiding in, Dakhur, to make a scene with Laveillur, protesting Kit's pending execution. And then he wants Dakhur to leave with the delegation, leaving Alibi and his hired gun, bounty hunter Brady Thomas, to rescue Kit and Katie and get them off Kismet. We'll see how these possible plans begin to unfold in Chapter 22 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Her, coming up on Glow in the Dark Radio. A big thank you to patrons who help keep Glow in the Dark Radio glowing. Can't glow without you. You provide the power source for that, so many thanks. And if you want to become a patron or find out more about that, just head to Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio. Patreon's a site that lets people collect monthly subscriptions from members who support their creative endeavors. So I've used that for a few years now to collect from people who support Glow in the Dark Radio. So again, if you want to get in on that for $2, $5, or $10 a month, it's a voluntary way to help crowdfund and support the podcast. And again, you can find out more or actually do so at patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio. In book news, I generally don't talk a lot about my other professional pursuits on this podcast, preferring to keep to the many worlds already present in my science fiction work here. But there is a big event I'm involved with coming up next weekend in Western Massachusetts, which is worth mentioning. I'm going to be giving a presentation on our Ancient Stone Mysteries of New England, and I'll be selling that book as well in the History Tent at the Pecumtuck Homelands Festival. That's in Turners Falls, Massachusetts, in their Unity Park, Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., both days. And I'll be giving my presentation at about 12:30 or so each day in the History Tent. It's a big festival. I'm just a very small part of it. It's a big celebration of Native American art, music, and cultures. If you want to find out more, you can go to nolambikaproject.org or find their Facebook page, facebook.com/nolambikaproject. And there's also a little bit more on my Ancient Stone Mysteries Substack, which is ancientstonemysteries.substack.com. Yeah, I'll be out and about and signing those books and talking about our Ancient Stone Mysteries of New England next weekend. That's August 2nd and 3rd, 2025, in Turners Falls, Massachusetts, Unity Park, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So that does it for book news. We are going to get into Chapter 22 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Her, next on Glow in the Dark Radio.
Under 30,000 feet of water, the exploration rig Laveillur has discovered an oil field larger than Saudi Arabia. With oil so sweet and pure, nations would go to war for the rights to it. But as the team starts drilling exploration wells in their race to claim the sweet crude, a deep rumbling beneath the ocean floor shakes them to their core. Something has been living in the oil. Paul E. Cooley's The Black is a techno-horror thriller reminiscent of movies such as Leviathan and The Thing, and puts terror right into readers' ears. The Black, a free podcast novel available from shadowpublications.com and iTunes. Ocean exploration will never be the same.
Now here's Chapter 22 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Her on Glow in the Dark Radio. Alibi must don the Dakhur disguise once more in order to leave with the delegation after Dakhur throws his fit with Laveillur. The old alien took some convincing. Dakhur worried about what Laveillur would do to his son if he caused a scene. But Alibi made a strong case. Laveillur is already intent on executing Kit. At the very least, Alibi's plan will try to spirit him away.
"Are you sure this man Thomas is reliable?"
Dakhur asks him as they walk to the Dakhur's ship. "No, but I am sure you're paying him well enough to make him reliable. At least for now," Alibi says. Dakhur frowns.
"I am paying you a reward if you get Kit off this planet. What you do with that money is up to you. I do not want it to be said that the Dakhur are in the habit of employing mercenaries," Dakhur protests.
"Point taken," Alibi responds, trying to respect Dakhur's opinion. The old catman speeds up to lead the delegation into the spaceport, leaving Alibi to fall back into the center of the alien crowd. They file on board the Dakhur transport ship in an orderly fashion. Once inside, Alibi makes his way down to the ship's cargo hold. He crosses the large, empty space, his footsteps echoing as he makes his way to one of the cargo bay's smaller airlocks. He strips the fur mask from off his face and drops it as he walks. As the airlock door slides open, he lets the robe drop. Alibi steps into the airlock wearing the simple Kismet worker's jumpsuit he's had on underneath his Dakhur costume.
"Thanks for this, at least, Thomas. Hope I am paying you enough to be reliable."
The outer door opens. Alibi looks out to see if the coast is clear. There's no one around. He ducks out of the airlock. He does his best to saunter casually over to a utility door on the other side of the landing bay. He's got a hotel room key in his jumpsuit pocket, also from Thomas. Thomas's hotel isn't far from the spaceport. Alibi makes his way down several short public corridors, passing a few people who don't bother to give him a second glance in his maintenance uniform. Before Alibi can grow too relieved at reaching the hotel, he stops short on his way into the lobby and nearly causes a human traffic jam. Peterson is standing there in the lobby, talking to a uniformed Kismet security guard over by the concierge desk. After his moment of frozen panic, Alibi turns around and walks out of the lobby. He continues walking up the corridor, away from the hotel, without looking back, until he reaches a small food alcove. He ducks in. He breathes, and finally allows himself the luxury of looking over his shoulder, as he prays he won't see Peterson. He does not.
"Not there? Good. That was too close."
Alibi tries to blend in. Head down, he busies himself over-pondering the menu choices in the small bistro. He picks out and pays for a ham sandwich, and then claims a space deep in the alcove. He slides in behind the table, keeping his back to the wall and an eye on the alcove entrance. "Mind if I join you?" "What?" Alibi looks up from his sandwich to see a woman standing there, holding hers. No more seats in here except at your table. Can I sit here? Sure, he answers. Why not? Might even help me blend. Hope she's not with Peterson. Can't be too paranoid. The woman isn't interested in conversation. Neither is Alibi. While he chews, he watches for Peterson through the doorway, over past the woman's right shoulder. He and the woman both eat in silence. After about 5 minutes, Alibi spots Peterson, walking by in the passing crowd. There he goes. Alibi tries to think himself invisible as he watches Peterson walk by. Do not see me. I am not here. Peterson passes the alcove entrance and walks on down the corridor. The woman stands up. She gives Alibi a strange look, but gathers her food's wrappers and serving tray and leaves the table in silence. Alibi watches her go as she walks off in the same direction as Peterson. Please tell me that was just a coincidence. Alibi waits for another few minutes before he stands up. No more sign of Peterson or the woman from his table. Alibi tosses the rest of his sandwich and the package in the recycler and heads over to the food alcove entrance. He looks back and forth down the corridor. No sign of Peterson now. The way now clear, Alibi heads back to the hotel. He walks into the lobby. No Peterson this time. He makes his way through the lobby to the elevators and rides up to the 4th floor where Thomas's room is located. He finds the door. The key works. Alibi walks into the room. Brady Thomas is already there, sitting on the bed. I get the bed. You get the floor, he informs Alibi. Fair enough, Alibi agrees. What's that? Alibi notices Thomas has what looks like a second canister of the Killbot flusher. I figure they've probably done the same thing to your Dakhur friend as they have with the Katie girl. So I've procured another dose of this stuff for him, made especially for the Dakhur physiology. Really? Good thinking, Alibi says. Thanks for doing that. I didn't think of that. Probably should have. I'll add it to your bill, Thomas cracks back. Alibi smiles a nervous smile. He walks over to the room's one small window and looks out at the buildings lighting up Kismet's night. He turns away and walks back over to the room's door. He looks out the peephole at the empty corridor outside. He walks back over toward the bed. Did you get us a transport? He asks Thomas as he thinks of it. Will it be out by the exercise yard? Yes and yes, kid. Done and done. Alibi nods. Walks back over to the window to glance out again. Thomas continues. Took care of that while Dakhur was pitching his fit with Laveillur, Thomas tells him. Couldn't find out when they'd be exercising him, though. That info ain't common knowledge. Ain't floating around out there, you know, Thomas says. Alibi walks back across to the door. He realizes he's pacing across the small room. I don't know if I can sleep, he says. Well, you better try to, 'cause I know I gotta get some rest. I'm too old to sacrifice my beauty sleep. Here, Thomas tosses Alibi a pillow and then a blanket. Lie down somewhere. Just make sure you ain't between me and the fresher. Don't want to trip over you heading for the bathroom. Right. There's a cleaning drawer. Part of the wardrobe over there, Thomas says. You can throw your jumpsuit in there. It'll be fresh for you in the morning. Alibi strips down to his shorts and throws the uniform jumpsuit in the cleaning drawer. He finds a space and throws the pillow and blanket down on the floor. He lies down and wraps himself in the blanket, rests his head on the pillow. But Alibi knows he won't be sleeping. That was Chapter 22 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Her on Glow in the Dark Radio, part of the Adventures of Alibi Jones Chronological Omnibus, which continues. Well, the Dakhur delegation is off, and Alibi Jones remains on Kismet in hopes of freeing Katie and Kit. So check in on our next episode to see if Alibi's plans can succeed as they continue to unfold. In Chapter 23 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Her on Glow in the Dark Radio. Again, a big thank you to patrons for helping to support Glow in the Dark Radio each week. And if you want to get involved in that or want to find out more about it, just head to patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio. And I will be out and about next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, August 2nd and 3rd, in Turners Falls, Massachusetts, in their Unity Park. The Pecumtuck Homelands Festival is happening. That'll be from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. each day, and I'll be in the History Tent. I'll have a table there with some of my books, or the Ancient Stone Mysteries of New England book, copies of it, and I'll be giving a presentation on our Ancient Stone Mysteries of New England each day at about 12:30 or so in the History Tent. So hopefully you can make it out and join me if you're in the area and interested in our Ancient Stone Mysteries of New England. I may see you there. And that is all for this week. I'm your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma. Thank you again for listening to Glow in the Dark Radio. Glow in the Dark Radio. This podcast presentation is copyright 2025 by Michael F. Luoma and is protected under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License, CC by NCND 4.0. Music by Kevin MacLeod. You can find his work at Incompetech.com. Mike's books are available in ebook, paperback, and audiobook, wherever you find books online. Get links and more details at glowinthedarkradio.com and mikeluoma.com. This has been a presentation of Glow in the Dark Radio.